With high-profile owners in the form of the class of '92, when Salford were promoted into the Football League in 2019, it felt like they were destined to skyrocket through the leagues. But fast forward almost 6 years and Salford are still stuck in League Two. They've gone close a couple of times over the last few years and the owners' ambitions have always remained the same. But coming into this season, optimism wasn't that high for the Ammies. And after 18 games, they had 6 wins, 6 draws and 6 losses. Very much a middle of the road side. But just 9 games later, Salford have gone on an incredible run, including 8 wins and conceding just 1 goal during that time. With Salford playing Manchester City this weekend, it felt like the perfect time to dive in and analyse Karl Robinson's side and the tactics that he's been using to get them so high up the table. They're now in the automatic promotion places in League Two as well. So could this be the season that Salford finally get themselves out of League Two? Well, let's look at the tactics in this video that's got them into this strong position. Firstly, let's talk about their recruitment, and a lot of Salford's recruitment has actually been really eye-catching, and they've signed a lot of bigger named players, especially experienced pros that have come from the higher divisions. So you've got the likes of Luke Garbett, who Everton fans may remember when he broke onto the scene in the Premier League. You've got Curtis Tilt, who they signed as well, who's played at a much higher level, championship sort of level before. You've also got the likes of Tyrese Forner, who has been playing for Derby County in the championship and League One very, very recently. So you've got these high caliber players, eye-catching names. Ben Woodburn, another one who Liverpool fans will remember when he broke onto the scene, similarly to Luke Garbett, a little bit later on. He's a little bit younger, but similar sort of profile of player, someone that's played at a much higher level before. And Salford have been able to attract these bigger name players through a combination, of course, of the kind of financial backing that they have, but also caliber of name that they have back in the club. It's an attractive project for some players to come and join. They've also been able to attract some of the players that have been experienced at this level as well. So they've got a nice blend of experience from high levels and players with that kind of exposure playing at a much higher standard, but they've also got players that are seasoned at the level. So Cole Stockton, for example, who's scored a lot of goals in and around this level, they've managed to bring him to the club. Osama Ashley, who they signed from Colchester, I put him down as my key player for this season for Salford in my season preview, despite the fact that he didn't really play much for Salford last season, but because of the fact that he had such a great showing whilst at Colchester, if he could kind of recapture that form, I kind of knew that, if he kind of showed those kind of levels, he would be an incredible player for them this season. And as we're going to go into, he's been really, really important for them. And players like Hakeeb Adelakan, who was the in-form player last season in the EFL for Doncaster Rovers, went on that incredible run. Adelakan was absolutely incredible for them in that period. So they've been able to bring in a real blend. But I think the main kind of blend they've brought in terms of recruitment is they've brought that experience that I mentioned, your Garbetts, your Tilts, and they've also brought in sort of raw athleticism, and they've also got raw athleticism in their squad that they've promoted from within as well. So you've got the likes of Kevin Burko, who's got great pace, Tyrese Forner, who makes everything look effortless when he's playing on the pitch, Osama Ashley, these players that can cover a lot of ground and maybe compensate for these older heads who perhaps haven't got the legs they once had, but have got that footballing brain that obviously never really leaves you, and that experience at a high level. So they have got a nice balance here in the side. And the final player I want to mention that we're going to talk about a little bit later on, I do promise we'll talk about him in more detail, is Matty Young, the goalkeeper they signed on loan from Sunderland in between the sticks. Sunderland have got a real reputation for producing brilliant goalkeepers. Jordan Pickford's been England's number 1 for a long time now. And of course, their current young goalkeeper, Anthony Patterson, also came through their academy and was loaned out. And that was what happened to Matty Young last season. He was loaned out to Darlington, despite the fact he was 16 and 17 during that season. He was starting, regularly for Darlington in men's football. He's represented England at youth level, and now he is, at Salford. And it was a surprise to see him not really start the season. But as we'll come on to, him coming into the side has coincided with this brilliant run, and he has been an absolutely brilliant acquisition between the sticks. Yeah, really, really good signing, and showcasing that they're not just keen on signing players permanently, they are also capable of using the loan market really well. Well, let's jump on to the tactics board now, and let's explain how Salford's tactics work on paper and in practice. So first of all, we've got the team shape here. This is how they lined up against MK Dons. It's a very similar shape to what they use across their games. There's a little bit of fluidity up front. They sometimes go with more of a flat front two. In this game, they had Adelakan playing off of Cole Stockton. Often they have Ben Woodburn playing off him, or they might have Killian Kouassi in alongside him as well, a bit more pace. Adelakan had that pace as well up there. Also want to highlight left wing back. A lot of rotation in this position, kind of all season. Kelly Enmai's been there. Junior Luamba's played there. John Taylor's played there. And Kevin Burko, who played in this game. has played there. So you can hopefully start to see there's been a lot of rotation in and around this side, and that's something that's been so strong about their game, is that they've been able to keep a core the same, the kind of the spine of the team, but some of the players who put in a little bit more of the energy, more of the runners, as we're going to get onto, the wing backs do a lot of running. This player that plays off of Stockton does a lot of running. The centre midfielder on the right hand side does a lot of running in the channel, and these players that do this kind of lot of the leg work, a lot of the water carrying, if you like, they rotated because they've got a strong squad full of good athletes, and they're able to get a good rest, and then a player can give a lot of energy for 90 minutes and they can move on. We've got midfield three. Simon Ashley is at the base. He protects his back three, which is very much kind of a stay-at-home back three. This is a kind of a rest defence, if you like. So if the team pushes forward, which it does all the time, you've got the wing-backs that push up. So they are wing-backs, but they're almost in line with the central midfielders, and sometimes they even push forwards and go in line with the forwards. So all of a sudden, if they push up with the forwards up the pitch, your centre mids go and you sort of advanced eights, I like to call them. They go and join the attack. You've then all of a sudden got a situation where you've still got 4 players back in defence. You've got your back three, and then you've got Osama Ashley shielding that back three. And as we sometimes see, the goal against Ekenons actually came from Shepherd coming down this side and joining in the attack. On the right hand side, he actually overlapped Cole Stockton, peeled wide, and he overlapped Cole Stockton and got a cross in. But what you then see is if the wide centre back does push up on the ball side, the wide centre back will only ever really join the attack on the ball side. It means you've still got 3 defenders back covering, because you've got your 2 remaining players from your back three, and then you've got Osama Ashley who's able to drop in as well and form part of that back three to really give some good protection to Matty Young. So as you can see straight away, that is kind of the team shape that they use. Like I mentioned before, they do like to use the wing backs a lot, and that's how I want to talk about their sort of the progression of their play. And one thing they do a lot is they progress the play through dribbling. They like to move the ball up the pitch via ball carrying. The centre backs will sometimes bring the ball out, but it's more this man here who I want to talk about as a key player, Tyrese Forner, who is so crucial to the way they play. Right centre mid changes a little bit. It can be Lund, Matty Lund. It can be Lund. It can be Woods. It can be a few different players. And they all get onto their role as well. They're kind of a goal scorer in this team, actually. But what we'll see often is they've got a lot of directness and a lot of runners. So whilst they do actually rank fairly highly for possession in the league, if you look at their last games since they've gone on this run, they've got a lot more direct. Their possession numbers have actually dropped a lot. And if you do look at their possession stats, you'll actually see that their passing stats are way down. So whilst they might have had the ball earlier in the season, you can see that the amount of passes they make is actually really low. That's because they look to move the ball forward as quickly as possible. And actually possession a lot of the time is actually via dribbling. They keep the ball via ball carrying, so they're not actually making a pass. So the wing backs are not afraid to carry the ball down the flanks. This man here, Tyrese Forner, is not afraid, and he will peel onto his left channel all the time, and he will pick up these pockets of space. He's right-footed, but he'll pick up these pockets of space down this left-hand side. Sometimes he'll go around the outside of the wing back as well, or more often than not, the wing back's already pushed up into an advanced position, and he's got him as a target to aim at, or use him almost as a decoy to then allow that channel to run into there. Cole Stockton is another player to mention. He is the focal point of the team. He stays kind of fairly fixed. I know I mentioned for the goal against Ekenons, he's peeled out wide, but often when they sort of progress the play, they'll go long. So they'll go direct quite a lot, either from Matty Young straight into him, or one of the centre-backs will crash the ball into him. He will stay as a focal point. You've then got a runner off of him, your Woodburn, your Kouassi, your Adelakan. They run into the channel with a lot of pace. And what that does often is what you'll see is Forner will peel wide, the left wing back will be wide, the right wing back will be wide. Stockton stays central, then you've got a runner off of him. And what that does is it means that defenders have to go with them to mark them. They have to go with them to stay with them. That opens a space here. You see this big channel for the right central midfielder. That's why Lund has got a couple of goals in recent weeks. Woods has also got one as well, because that space opens up because there's a channel ready for that right central midfielder to go and attack. So one of the key things I just wanted to sort of just go over was the fact that in possession, Salford are really efficient, and they don't waste possession. They They look to move the ball forwards quickly. And like I say, whilst their possession stats from early in the season are high, recently they've been less than 50%, but a lot of it's through ball carrying. And that means that a lot of the time, if they're obviously without possession, less than 50%, it means that they're out of possession more often than they are in possession at the moment. And one thing that they do, and this is why I want to talk about the athleticism, and we're going to get onto that with the clips in just a moment. One of the key highlights is that of their out of possession work is how aggressive they are in the press and how aggressive their play style is. And they actually take a lot of risks. Despite the fact that they've kept a lot of clean sheets, you might think on paper that sounds like a team that defend their box and sit deep. They do defend their box really well, and they're really effective in the other box as well, both from set pieces and open play. But what they do all over the pitch is they try and win the ball back as aggressively as possible to turn it over and then start attacks as quickly as possible with the speed and energy that they've got on the side. How do they do that? They go all over the pitch, they go man for man. So they're super, super aggressive out of possession, man for man all over the pitch. It's high risk. Sometimes it doesn't work, and teams that have got a good passing game can cut through them, and we're going to show an example of that as well. But in League Two, the vast majority of teams haven't got that type of passing game. And if Salford can showcase the energy levels that are required to go man for man on teams, which is a lot of energy, you've got to think that you've got to stick with your man all game. They have got the squad to do that. They've rotated well. They've got the energy to keep pressing. You've got to be on it. As soon as the ball's played to someone, you've got to be there in their face, pressing them. That is a lot of energy expended for a course of a 90-minute game. And if they're able to do that against sides that are kind of, I don't want to say lesser sides, but sides that don't play with the ball on the ground, you don't allow them to get their game going. They can't get the ball playing long. If you go man for man, your strikers constantly being marked by one player, and it makes it really, really difficult for teams to play out, and it forces them to play long. And Salford have got Curtis Tilt in defence. They've got a man mountain who's able to win all these aerial duels. So they're super aggressive, and they take loads of risks in that play, and I'm really excited to show you that. So let's get on to the clips now so you can really see that in practice. Well, let's get on to the clips then. First of all, we start off with the team shape, which I wanted to mention, and just wanted to show you that they have got the back three, which we showed there, the stay-at-home back three. Obviously, Matty Young is capable on the ball. They do play out a little bit, to be fair. He'll often play out to one of the wide centre-backs, but he's also very capable of just going straight and going long. And of course, you've got Sam Ashley just protecting that back three, and then also, I guess, forming almost a back four, not a traditional back four, but four players back in defence. You can see the team shape once again here, back three, and then you've also got Ashley shielding it. But what I want to show you was how the team opens up in a more wider sense. So as you can see, you've got Cole Stockton in between the centre backs as the focal point, occupying those defenders and really being the main man. I guess like a target man. He's not just a target man, he's a very technical player, but he is, in terms of the system, that player they can aim for. You've then got, obviously, the midfield three, Ashley protecting the back line. And you've also got Adelakan, Fauna and Burko in this sort of left channel, as I spoke about, all of them peeling off to the left. They're almost all in a line there. You've actually got a 3v2 from where I've circled. And, of course, you've got Anoga at right wing back. We've not actually mentioned him, but he's been a very good signing for them at right wing back. Also capable of playing at centre back, but he's been used as a right wing back in their system. But as you can see, like I mentioned, they try and either create an overload on this left hand side, but you've also got this centre back here who will try and come over, and that's going to open up this space either for Cole Stockton or for the central midfielder to come through. So just sort of the general team shape there to sort of that we spoke about. So we're going to move on then, and we look at now the man-for-man press, which we were speaking about, and I want to show you in practice and why it is so effective. So in this scenario here, Emma Gidons are playing the ball into this player's feet. But as you can see, all over the pitch, they've gone man-for-man. You've got one here, you've got two. Stockton's actually with this player here, but Stockton's positioning also allows him to go and press the goalkeeper. So the centre forward's the only player that doesn't go man for man because the goalkeeper can become the spare man, especially in teams like MK Dons, where the goalkeeper is technically adept and is used to playing out. Stockton's positioning is so important. He can't go and stand here, and then that will leave the centre back completely free. But similarly, he can't go and stand here and leave the goalkeeper completely free. So he has to kind of cut off the passing lane to both of them. But you can see man for man here on the player that's receiving the ball. And then you can see the one man that's free There's a massive gap, but already he's looking to close that gap. So as you can see, they've been man for man all over the pitch. The ball's coming into his feet, and let's move it on and see what happens. So as you can see there, these players are all marked out of the game, and he's under pressure when he's receiving because he's being marked very tightly because of that man-for-man press all over the pitch, okay? And we can see that the gap is being closed. That is the obvious pass. It's the only pass he's got, actually, because if he goes back here, this man's marking him. He could go back to the goalkeeper, but it's a very, very risky pass because Cole Stockton's positioning is so strong. He can't go back to where the ball's come from. So the only pass available to him is this player here. As we go on, he plays the pass, but the player that's close to the gap has made it so that and he's under so much pressure that the pass is misplaced and it goes straight to the Salford player. They're able to turn over the ball and start an attack. And as you can see, Cole Stockton is actually clean through here. They don't actually get the ball into him. But because they've took that risk, they've gone man for man all over the pitch. All of a sudden, in the attacking third, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could even say 6 Salford players on an attack, and they've won the ball so high up the pitch. They're so close to the attacking area, of course, as well. And that, as I say, that ball into Cole Stockton's on. If they could get that to his feet, he'd probably get closed down very quickly, but he'd be in a very threatening position and getting another touch in the box, which is something that they do try and do. We get Cole Stockton on the ball as much as possible inside the area because he is a very, very good finisher. Let's move on then to another example of the man-for-man press all over the pitch. Once again, I'll just highlight the players. Of course, you can see as they go man-for-man all over. There is this kind of one spare here. Again, they always leave that big gap on the opposite side. But as you can see, all over the pitch, once again, I keep saying it, repeating myself, but it is what they do in their system. As we move the play on, you can see that they've gone man for man there, still putting pressure on him. And then, again, makes the challenge on him because he's so tight, he's marking him. Gives the player that's in possession absolutely no room to breathe, absolutely no room to manoeuvre. Your decision-making has got to be absolutely crisp. And we spoke about it. If you haven't watched it, there's the Notts versus Walsall breakdown of the game. I spoke about it in there. In the first half, Notts' midfield were able to get loads of passes off because they were not pressed. They were given too much respect. In the second half, Walsall changed it and put them under loads of pressure. A similar thing, MK Dons are a passing, possession-based team. Salford giving them absolutely no respect and no time. If you don't give these possession-based teams time to set themselves, you win half the battle. And as you can see, the challenge is made and the ball is turned over. This is Tyrese Forner at his very best, by the way. So he's got the ball here. Watch how he glides past the defender. Like I mentioned earlier, he carries the ball so well, so strongly. He's a key player for me. And as I say, just glides past the player. And now he's beating his man. They've won the ball back high up the pitch. He's beating his man. And all of a sudden, you've got a situation where you've got a 3v3 and kind of like a 4 if you count this player. But of course, he's kind of watching. He's over the far side. Forner then attracts all these players to him. It's not great for this man to leave him free, but the ball is then he's able to play that ball down the channel, and all of a sudden then you've got a 2v2. And that's all come from Tyrese Forner carrying the ball and attracting the attention. He's got 4-on-1 here, and yet he's still able to make that pass down the channel. Plays it down the line. In the space they go, and look what happens here. It's actually really poor defending, to be fair. But Forner's played that pass. He was here. He's then come inside. The wide player has got one player at the moment to aim for. He could play the ball early and try and get the runner on the end of it. Pretty difficult chance. But just watch Tyrese Forner. He has made that run all the way from there into the box, unopposed. The ball does come back to him. And Forner actually does go wide here. He probably should score. He has had goals from similar situations this season. They actually won not too long ago from that kind of area. But the point I'm making there is Tyrese Forner is so crucial to the way they play. He carries the ball so well, plays it in the channel, continues his run. He's got the energy levels throughout the game. He's got the quality. Teams know he's the danger man. They try and press him out of the game, crowd him out. He gets the pass off, and then he's able to evade capture and pop up in another area. And his great positioning, his great timing of run. But I did mention in the previous part about how the man-for-man press can also not work and it can be exposed. And I just want to showcase an example of this here. So this is when MK Dons are playing out from the back. As I said, Stockton's got a job to press 2 players because of the spare man being the goalkeeper. And once again, just to highlight them, man for man all over the pitch. They play it into this player here, under pressure again because of that press, that aggressive press. Because Stockton's gone to press the goalkeeper, they then have got 1 man spare. And that ball looks like it's going into here, but actually, they're not playing it onto the man that's under pressure. They're playing it into the path of the centre-back who is in space, who can then run onto it. And that's what happens. He runs onto the end of it, and then the player that was here, whose duty is to man mark this player, has to then come inside and put pressure on the player that's in possession, because if he doesn't, he's just going to have this free run all the way through the middle of the pitch, and that's not what you want. Over he comes to press from that side. Who's the obvious spare man? There he is. He then picks the ball up, and then once again you can see all over the pitch they are man for man, as you can see. But they have got the player in possession who's able to then drive out. It's then played into Ellis Harrison, who's kind of a bit of a focal point for them, as Cole Stockton is to them. He's being man-marked by Curtis Tilt, their aerial threat. Both teams' aerial threat have been battling with each other all game. Ball's played into his feet. As you can see, once again, all over the pitch. They've gone tight on every single player. And they try and go tight onto Ellis Harrison. So Curtis Tilt is drawn out of defence because that's his man. He's got to follow his man. And this is the weakness of going man for man, is that you can't. It's not like you're marking zonally and Tilt can then pass Harrison on to a midfielder. The midfielders are also marking their own men. So he's got to follow Harrison. He's got to stay tight to him. And that is where the weakness comes, because, as you can see, look at the space that is now in behind where Tilt should have been. They've still got the back 3, but they've got all this space starting to open up in behind what's a fairly high line. And you can see where Curtis Tilt has stepped up onto Ellis Harrison. The centre forward's dropped deep, hasn't stayed between the posts as a focal point. He's actually dropped in, and this massive space here is all there to exploit. And had they been a little bit more brave, they may have been able to set this man free. And unfortunately for them, instead, he does get down, but it's not into this space here, it's into this wide area. And it's actually a really good chance for Hidons as it comes across the box. And there's Ellis Harrison on the edge, not being man-marked this time. But hopefully you can see that you are able to play for a man-for-man press. It's high risk. It can be definitely high reward. Hopefully I've showcased that with some of the examples as well. As I said, but you can play through it. And that is one of the big things that I wanted to showcase and highlight, is that with a team that are brave enough, all have the quality to do so. Little things like a centre forward dropping in, can drag a centre back, can open space up, and because you've gone man for man, you can't hand him over. You can't say, oh, he's your man now, because he'd have 2 players on him. So you've got to go with him. You can drag Salford's team out of shape. So that is the one thing that I kind of did want to highlight as, I guess, a weakness of their system. It can be hyper-aggressive, and against the sides that have been the lesser sides, and if you look at their run of form, the 2 teams they've beaten, which have been impressive wins, are Notts County and MK Dons. MK Dons actually had some success in that game. Notts County weren't brilliant at all. They're 2 ball-playing sides, and they've been able to stifle them with this system. But I do think that as they come up against some of the better teams in the division, teams might have joy. Will they beat them? Maybe not, but they may not be able to keep their clean sheet record, which has been so impressive. But now let's talk about someone else who's been so impressive in their clean sheet record, and that is Matty Young. So just talking about Matty Young, as we mentioned earlier, he's come on loan from Sunderland, and he has been a revelation for them. And if you just look at some of the stats that he's got, just absolutely superb. A 95.2% save accuracy, save percentage. That seems like, across a small sample size, that is obviously kind of what you expect, maybe across a 2-game period. But this is an 8-game league period, and actually it'll be even higher if you include the FA Cup game. It's the best in the league. Again, it's not a massive sample size, but it's a big enough sample size to say that he's very, very impressive. And if you look across all his stats, per 90, he's pretty much top or in the top 2 or 3 for every single goalkeeping stat. It's so impressive. Even accurate long balls, he plays 10.2 per 90. That puts him in the top 90 percentile. So he's been incredible in his short period of time. But one thing that I want to mention about him, and that save percentage, if you watch Matty Young play, his highlight reel isn't that eye-catching. He has not got the he's got some very good saves, but not every save he makes is not like a worldy save, tipping it around the post, not going with great athleticism and making himself, look really good with the saves. What he has got is absolutely impeccable positioning. He's always in the correct place at the correct time and to make that save. So a lot of his saves are actually straight at him because he's in the right position. He's positioned himself really well. He's also got a really big frame, especially considering he's 18. He's got a really strong frame, and that enables him to cover the angles really well. So shots from an angle, he's got such a big frame and great positioning. You combine those two, and that shot from that angle is not beating him. He's just in the right position at the right time. And you can see he's so well schooled. He's so well coached, such a high level goalkeeper. And I do think that next season he'll be playing in League One minimum. I think if Sunderland didn't have already a very, very good young goalkeeper themselves in Patterson, they might be looking to get some game time as well. I think he's that good. I think he's a very, very well-rounded goalkeeper. He's very assured between the sticks. He comes and collects things, but often, as I say, it's that position that really stands out. A lot of his saves, they seem like they're straight at him, but he anticipates almost beforehand. And like I say, that position is so strong. So just wanted to highlight him in a little bit more detail because he's been so crucial. I don't think it's any coincidence that he came in the FA Cup game against Cheltenham, and since that game, he kept a clean sheet, and he's only conceded 1 goal since, and Salford have gone on this incredible run and are now in the top 3. I'm not saying it's all down to him. Hopefully throughout the video I've highlighted it's a team collective thing, and their system, their aggressive press, their ability to play with directness and carry the ball. But Matty Young in goal is a fantastic last line of defence for them and has certainly helped them keep plenty of clean sheets. Well, that brings to an end this breakdown of Salford's tactics. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Do let me know below what team you want to see next. Of course, I'll be keeping an eye on their game against Man City this weekend. Obviously wishing them the best of luck. Hopefully they can pull off a cup set. Who knows, with the tactics they've got, maybe they will be able to. If you guys have enjoyed this video and this breakdown, do please go and give the video a like. It really, really helps. It gets the video to more eyes, and that is ultimately how we can grow the channel and produce even more content. If you could subscribe, it'd be massively appreciated. We're getting close to 900 subscribers, which is crazy to me. So if you could subscribe, that would be absolutely huge, again, for the growth of the channel and allow me to produce more content. I really hope you have enjoyed watching, and I will see you guys next time.